Today we are going to be having a little bit of a discussion. I think this is going to be our first of many discussions on this channel. Fingers crossed, yeah. If you're seeing video, brilliant, it's worked. If you're not seeing video, then this has turned into a podcast. This is basically you're going to have to bear with us because it's going to be a little bit rough around the edges because it's the first time we've done anything like this. But today's sort of topic of conversation really is not so much a versus type of thing. It's just more, why do we prefer playing on console or why do we prefer playing on PC? I am a console gamer primarily, and James, you're a PC gamer primarily. So why don't you convince me why PC is better?
Well, it depends on what your opening gambit is really.
I suppose you can start with the easy ones.
Okay.
On my end, obviously, you've got game exclusives.
True. So
it's a little bit more comfortable in the home. Like for me, like when I get home from work, if I want to sit down and play a game, I'm quite happy to sit on my sofa with a controller.
True.
Fairly simple setup as well. I don't have to faff about with modifications every so often to try and make a game run better. It's already sort of, the games are optimized for the unit they're on. And for someone like me, where graphics aren't such a huge deal, it's fairly simple for me to just pop a disc in, wait for it to install, off I go. Whereas with a PC, for me, I've got a PC. It's not the best. It does run some games, but in my own personal experience, there's always like hiccups. Be it to be with how the PC runs, whether or not the game can run correctly on the PC. It's basically a big thing where you have to sort of sort your PC unit out before you can run a game, and to me that instantly turns me off.
Okay, all right, yeah, I can see those points. I guess you kind of have me at least have PC gaming beat on the exclusives. Because there are a lot of very nice exclusives on consoles that obviously. I mean, I will admit I have a PS4.
I can hear the sadness in your voice thinking about Bloodborne right now.
I did. That's it. Definitely about Bloodborne. If only you could have Bloodborne on PC, that'd be amazing.
You have to be a console peasant for that one, I'm afraid.
I do admit I do have. I have PS4 downstairs. I also have my PS3 next to me as well. So it's almost
Good
like
man.
I am a convert. I started with console gaming, and then gradually then moved to PC, and now I have both. But I think you are right about the exclusives. It's a very annoying thing, but it's just designed to shift the hardware. It's just designed to get you to buy that box,
absolutely
X box instead of Y box, and install it into your house, and just for the exclusives. So I will agree that you do have me beat on exclusives.
You are starting to see a little bit of that crossover though coming into your realm of gaming. Obviously you've got things like Steam, Epic, EA, Ubisoft, all these sort of like companies now have their own storefronts. I think there's even whispers of Activision getting their own storefront now, and it's just becoming a little bit saturated. I want to say is the right term.
I think you're right with saturation. It's everyone's seen the success of Steam in the PC marketplace, and everyone wants a piece of that pie. I mean, you can kind of understand why like EA and Activision, Blizzard have their own, because they're their own publishers. They publish their own games. But obviously, Epic's coming into it quite aggressively. So it's kind of a different exclusivity than obviously hardware and the games, because it's a different storefront, so it offers different features. But it's
so what I want to know as someone who's not primarily a PC gamer. Why does the Epic Store bother PC gamers so much?
I think primarily because obviously as a PC, it's designed to be an open platform, so it's anyone you can buy a PC and play any game that's available on the PC. And for a while, Steam has been the de facto marketplace. Everyone puts their games on Steam, and the reason why people are so pissed off at Epic is basically it's swinging around its huge money penis and basically locking games out of the Steam store for up to a year. Which ordinarily probably wouldn't be a problem, but the fact that the Epic Game Store is, for starters, its security is not as good as Steam's.
Okay.
Its store has lackluster features, like it doesn't even have a shopping cart.
Yeah, I've heard about this. Yeah.
So they're putting more money into getting the games and making the tools better, and they're arguing that we want to attract the developers rather than the consumers. So it's kind of like, if you want to make a tool, if you want to really challenge Steam, you need to have something that Steam doesn't offer apart from games.
Absolutely. I think, again, from a standpoint where I don't use the PC to play games very often, for me, I struggle to understand too much of the outcry over it, because it is just another icon on your desktop that you just have to open.
Yeah.
But I suppose, again, I can sort of see the annoyance in it. I can sort of see how it can be frustrating, especially when when you're, for example, me, I'm a console gamer. I primarily play on PlayStation. So for me, like, when I want to play a game, I don't have to worry about going through like different launchers and whatnot, because I just literally, I've either downloaded it on the console or I pop the disc in. Whereas with you guys, you have to obviously constantly think about where you can access this game, all this sort of stuff, where it's available. And I suppose it's almost as irritating as someone like me who, like, I love games like Gears of War. It's one of my favourite sort of shooting games of all time. Can't play it because it's stuck on an Xbox, and I won't play an Xbox because I hate the controller. I hate it.
That's true. And it's one thing we'll probably talk about later is game subscriptions and things like PlayStation Plus and things like that. Like, I've recently bought the Xbox Game Pass for PC, so I can play hundreds of I can now play Gears of War. Only the first one though, but 2 and 3 are superior to the game, but they're nowhere to be seen. So you can have access to some of that.
But again, like, for me, that argument there is again against the Epic Store side of things. That's another launcher, and that's another, a subscription sort of fee to get these games. It's very beneficial in the long run, because as you say, like, you pay such a small amount of money and you get all of these games, which is brilliant. A lot of them which you can, previously you could only play on a console. But again, it's another launcher, and what I want to know is why that doesn't bother you, but things like Epic Games Store and other things like that do.
I think primarily the reason why the Epic Games Store bothers me so much, because to me it feels very anti-consumer, and that's my bigger problem with hardware exclusive as well. So it's if you want to, you get the more possible reach, obviously, by making your game available across all platforms.
Absolutely.
And it's very anti-consumer to lock it down to, say, a particular platform or a particular store. But you can kind of understand for, like, first party, like, I can totally understand why Sony doesn't publish its games on Xbox and PC, because you got to have some rhyme or reason to buy that hardware. But at the same time, it's still anti-consumer if you're locking out, millions of people who only have an Xbox or millions of people who only have a PC. So the reason my major gripe against Epic and against all hardware exclusives is just it's very anti-consumer.
I think, I can agree with you in that front, but then it also eliminates competition, and then companies don't have to try so hard, and then you don't see these brilliant games. Like, for example, I'm playing Detroit Become Human for the first time because it's just come free on the PlayStation Plus subscription. And it's one of, like, the best story-driven games I've played in a long time. Things like, again, Horizon Zero Dawn, even going back to the old days of PlayStation against Nintendo, you had Crash Bandicoot or you had Mario. If it was all one sort of platform, you wouldn't have that competition, and there wouldn't be so much. I guess they wouldn't have to try so hard. You look at the poor old Sega Saturn. No one wanted to develop on that thing. They didn't even want to develop a Sonic game on there, and look what happened to it. It's just, I feel like if we had it all in one roof, there wouldn't be so much. Just the quality of games, I think, would dip massively. I mean, you can, to give you a fair example of that, you look at the shower of shit that's on Steam. The amount of games that are on there that are atrocious just because they can get published on there. Like, there's no vetting process, or at least that I can see. And because for so long Steam was like the only place to go on PC, look at all of the rubbish that's on there. So I think it is healthy. It's definitely healthy to have some sort of competition.
I agree. I mean, like, Steam is obviously torrent of shits, asset flips and things like that. And I do agree that Steam needs some competition. So I will acknowledge Epic for that, but like I said, I think it's going about it the wrong way.
It's come too quick, too aggressive.
That's
I think
it. If you
is what I've witnessed.
If you want to be a competitor to Steam and force Steam to change, I mean, I agree that the money split is more profitable to developers, so I can admit that from a developer point of view, it's better. But from a customer, you're offering me a subpar experience and forcing me to go to your store. Whereas, like you said, the whole reason why people like PC is it's the openness. It's if a game's on PC, it runs on let's just say it runs on Windows. Nobody talks about Mac.
No one talks about Mac. No.
Linux is just about getting around, but it'll run on
Mac is the Xbox One of the PC market, in my opinion. No one plays on that.
It's a fair comparison, yeah. But so that's what I mean. PC's been that open platform for so long that when someone comes in to try and like segment it off, everyone was a bit like, I don't like you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so. Totally see your point. Like, there's such a low barrier of entry to get onto Steam now. Like, you can pay £100 or $100, and you can publish whatever you want on Steam. So I do admit it's quite hard to get noticed. And I'm hoping it will force Steam to improve. Is what I'm really hoping.
I think that's what a lot of people have been needing. I mean, I watch a lot of Jim Sterling. And a lot of, back in the day, used to do a lot of like Steam cleaner stuff or whatever it was. And Steam definitely needs that from what I've seen, big time. Because whilst I'm not a PC gamer, I do like to keep on top of sort of what's going on that side of things. Because, one day I'd like to play on a PC. I'd like to enjoy it. I'd like to get behind it. Like, there's things that I'm quite jealous of that a PC can do that a console can't. Primarily frame rates. Frame rates are a big thing for me. Like, before I even looked at a PC, I didn't, I never even paid any attention to frame rates. And then as soon as someone showed me, I think it was Dark Souls 1 with the mod fix on it, with the locked, like,
60
frames per second. Like, it just ruined, like, console games for me, like, my old retro games. Like, I never noticed it until I watched that, and I was like, you've got to be taking the mickey.
That's it.
I've tried playing Dark Souls 1 on the PS3, and if it all goes well, I'll try and get some footage of that in this video in Lost Izalith. I tell you, I've never ever seen a frame rate drop quite like it in my life.
Oh, Blighttown.
Yeah.
Welcome to Blighttown.
It's unreal.
So that is one thing the PC definitely has over console. It's basically, pound per performance. PCs got you beat. But it's actually not that. I think that's probably the reason why people perceive PCs having such a high barrier to entry, like cost-wise. But you can get you can get a PC that will do equivalent or better performance than the PS4 Pro for about £400. Yeah. So it's kind of like you get better performance. The cost isn't as much as people think. Like I've got like a rough. I quickly worked out a rough example in the notes. So
of course you did.
Yeah, let's see what we do. So
it's me all dishevelled and half asleep, and here's you coming prepared with notes.
Well, that's fine. It's how I roll. Well, I think really it is obviously. Well, you're right. PC perceives to have, and probably has a higher barrier to entry. But you got to look at the long term costs. So I searched like PS4 Pro. First one I found was £359. Okay.
Yeah.
PlayStation Plus, saw you could buy it for a year for £35.
Yeah, I mean, if you look in the right places. Yeah. Ordinarily, outright, I believe it's 40 quid. I think a year.
And that's a requirement to play online. Is that correct?
It is if you want to play online.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm over a 5-year lifespan of probably about console, about 5 years. So I'll be about £175 over 5 years. If you just go on internet, cheapest one I found for fibre was £20 a month.
Yeah.
So you're looking. So add all that together, you probably look like I've got my internet actually a calculator wrong. So quickly do this here. Watch this pop up. There we go on top of here. I'll put on front of my screen. So obviously 20 times 12. times 5. So you're looking at about £1,200 for your internet, plus your PS4, and plus your, PlayStation Plus. So over 5 years, your PS4, without in any games, cost you £1,734.
Well, you've just made me feel very, very sad about my life. So thank you very much for that.
Dr.
James.
It's just an example.
Yeah, definitely.
So if I spend £400 to build a PC that's equivalent performance to the PS4 Pro, plus the internet cost, which is about £1,200, about £1,100, I've saved myself like £150, £200.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think again, though, that the way that we look at this is a little bit slightly off, because what I think what isn't factored into your calculations is obviously changes in the sort of the PC market are a lot more frequent than they are in the console market.
True.
So I think like in the long run, you'd probably optimistically be saying you'd spending about the same amount of money, especially when you look at things like upgrades. Like I remember when I got this current PC, and it was, it's pretty much, it can run at the time when Overwatch come out, it could run it at good settings.
Okay.
Not excellent, but good. And not even a couple of weeks later, I can't remember the game that come out shortly after it, but my PC was then irrelevant.
Right.
In terms of running that game. Which absolutely surprised me when you consider like the span between these two games releasing. So I think I don't know like the cost of PC parts, like, and how often you'd need to replace them. But from what my understanding is from the little bits that I've looked into, I mean, I want to update this graphics card because it's not great. It's a 720 NVIDIA GeForce or whatever.
Okay.
So it can it's basically a little bit better than a 360, but not as powerful as an Xbox One. So it's that sort of limbo state.
Yeah.
So, and I've seen a price of one that will bump me up a little bit, and I'm like, I'm not buying that outright. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Then it comes down to not knowing what you're doing as well. So,
That's true.
A lot of people tell me don't take it to a PC world because it will get ruined. So, and when I sit in there and I think to myself, all right, I'll dismantle it, and I open up that case and I'm like, nah, I'm gonna leave that. That's for me, like, the cost is, it's brilliant when you put the math together and you think, actually, you know what, I'll be saving quite a fair bit of money. But when you're not sort of like technically savvy, then you've sort of you've backed yourself into a corner, and you end up like someone like me who will have to buy the units pre-built.
Okay.
Unless you've got like friends in high places who know how to build PCs. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Send one my way, please.
Yeah. Well, I see what you mean. It's kind of like how I feel about these like PCs. It's like cars. And the example I'm going to use is that you can buy something for cheap that will do what you need it to do for, when you admit, I can't do certain things in it, But you can obviously buy a car that's like a Ferrari that can be ludicrously fast and handle incredibly well. So it's kind of like in PC, it's kind of like you can get the cheap £500 PC like that and will do what you want it to do. Or you can, if you have the money, go balls to the wall and essentially get your Ferrari, which will, like a obelisk PC from space. So it is right. There are PCs for a budget, and I think you're also right about the fear of either building your own or changing a component, because that is a major thing. Like I remember when I first opened my PC case, I was like, absolutely. It's like expensive Lego.
Yeah.
Like we are putting things in, things are creaking and cracking, and you're like, is it meant to do this? But it all turns out all right at the end. They are a lot
You're
more.
a braver man than I.
Well, they are a lot more durable than you think. But it is. I think you are right. It's if you're not confident. Yeah. And you obviously you can break something. It's a very expensive mistake.
Big time.
And same with about your PC becoming irrelevant. I think that's a big problem in the PC space, is that a lot of developers see PC as an afterthought. So they don't optimize their, not patches, but they don't optimize their builds for PC, which is why the Dark Souls 1 port was horrendously bad.
Yeah, I heard about
this.
It
was such a rush job that they just pushed it out. So then the modders had to fix it.
I heard that was done within like sort of half an hour of the game being released as well, which amazes me.
Yeah, so it's kind of a thing of like, because developers see PC as an afterthought. It might work well on console, but it doesn't work well on PC because PC is so different. But even so, it's a case of if they took the time, they could make a good build. But if they don't, then it's going to run like absolute crap. Yeah. Like, there are some games that run really well on consoles, but even on like the highest end PCs you can get, they still struggle because the build is so, I won't say so optimized, but built so wrapped around with the console architecture. Yeah.
I think a prime example of that I saw recently was the Insane trilogy, the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy. Mm-hmm. Whilst on consoles, as far as I'm aware, it's locked at 30 frames per second. You know, it's 1080p. It's got the HDR support, but even if you run it on Xbox One X, they say it's 4K. It's not. It's upscaling at its finest. Yeah. Whereas the PC, the version 4K 60 FPS, but it struggled because it was built for the consoles. They made this game with consoles in mind. And the amount of reports I saw of people's games just completely crashing, not even booting, frame rates up and down all over the place. You know, the display not doing what it's supposed to. Yeah. There's a lot of games out there like that that really did struggle, but when it's done right, you know, it's unreal.
Yeah, like I have the Insane trilogy. I don't have a 4K monitor.
Yeah.
I only have 1080p monitors, but I have one that runs at 144 hertz.
Jesus.
So I was able to play Crash Bandicoot at 60 FPS. Yeah. And it was glorious. And that's like you said, the advantage of the frame rate on your PC. It's exceptional. Like I said, I can play games at 100 plus FPS, but I have to obviously sacrifice something. So, so obviously you turn down your graphical fidelity a bit for the higher frame rate.
Which I think for me is probably how I would play most PC games anyway. Because as I said before, for me it's the graphics thing isn't like I remember the day that I saw the jump from PS1 to PS2 for the first time, and that blew my absolute mind. The first game I ever saw on a PS2 was Ratchet and Clank,
right?
And I genuinely thought we were living in the future the day that I saw that. But then the jump from the PS2 to the PS3 wasn't like holy crap, because the first game I saw on the PS3 and the Xbox, one was Genji Days of the Blade and the other one was Rainbow Six Vegas. Right. But the jump between the end of the PS2's life cycle, which I think that one of the last games on there, I don't know if you remember, it was a shooting game called Black.
I remember Black,
yeah. Made by EA, I think. But the jump between those two, it wasn't like that jump from PS1 to PS2. And then at the end of the PS3 and the 360's life cycle into the PS4, again, the jump wasn't like massive at the time. You look at it now and it's miles apart, but when it first started, it's like, you know, and as someone who's a console gamer, I'm used to that sort of slow, gradual games looking better kind of thing. So I'm not fussed about if I'm going to go and play a game that has to look like the best thing you've ever seen. Like for me, primarily games come down to, is it fun? Do I understand how it plays? Brilliant. Yeah. That's it. You know, and I think looping into sort of coming away from like the benefits of PC again, for me, the benefits of again, the console, as I said at the beginning of this chat, is the comfort side of things. You know, I'm sure there's plenty of like people out there that will tell me, oh, you can get gaming chairs, you can get all this, that, and the other to make your sort of like your comfort optimized. You can get Steam controllers. I've used a Steam controller. Sod that. I don't know why anybody would want to play one of those. You know, I like to just get on my sofa behind me, sit down, controller, bosh, off I go. Yeah,
like I have a Steam controller, but I don't use it. So like
it's awful.
This is my weapon of choice when I use a controller.
Yeah, even then, I'm not a fan. I liked the 360 controller was incredible. I use the 360 controller when I play on the PC.
Yeah.
But I'm all about that PS4 controller. It's the best controller I've ever used in my life.
You can use them on PlayStation.
Yeah,
you can use them on PC if you have.
I downloaded an application for it. So
yeah. So like I says that, I will admit you do have the comfort. You know, obviously obviously the best method of input is still keyboard and mouse.
Oh yeah, because it's instantaneous.
Instantaneous, hands down.
It's hardwired.
No matter how you look at it, it's gonna be keyboard and mouse. So I understand that you can use controls, and I have the Steam Link.
Yeah.
So I can play my PC, which is in my office at the top of the house. I can play it in my living room.
That's quite cool.
With a controller. So you can couch game, and you can just plug your PC into a TV screen as well.
So how does this Steam box work then? Is it just streaming what's on your...
It is literally streaming. So it's in all wired in, like I've just wired it in, it's all wired. So it just streams from my PC upstairs, downstairs, and I've detected no input lag whatsoever.
That's fair.
So it's like there are...
A bit like the old PlayStation TV, do you remember that thing?
Ooh.
Do you remember the PS TV?
I've seen the PS TV.
The PS TV, I don't have mine anymore, God rest its soul, but the PS TV was basically, it was a Vita without a screen. But you could still stream whatever you had on any other console in the house, not a PS4, because, their marketing for that was awful. But if you had a PS3 in the house, you could stream it to the PS TV, which was quite smart. But Christ, nowhere near as good as I imagine the Steam box, but it is. I think a lot of it, we can go backwards and forwards between sort of why PC's better, why console's better. They both got their pros and they both got their cons, but I think again it falls down to that competition thing. I think they help each other out a lot.
Oh yeah, of course.
There's a lot of learning curves from both sides of things. I mean, consoles are taking inspiration from PC hardware every generation.
Exactly.
They look at how it's evolved. They've looked at what's worked the best, and they get to the end of their cycle and they go, right, these are all the best components. Let's do this. Whereas the PC is going, we've had that for ages. It's a bit like the old Apple and Android sort of like argument. I'm an Android user. I can't stand iPhones.
No.
And it always amuses me when people come to me and go, my iPhone's got this now. I'm like, yeah, I've had that for about 3 years, mate. What are you doing? And I should imagine it's very much like that with the whole PC and the console side of things. But I think the only detriment, I think, to me with like the biggest and the worst one for me being a console gamer is the subscription things.
Yeah,
that's the thing that kills me.
That's the kick in the teeth, I think. That's one of the reasons why I really struggled nowadays, because I remember back in the day you could play online for free on PlayStation.
Yes.
And then they took that away because they saw that people pay Microsoft for it. So like,
why
aren't we charging for this?
Yeah, I mean, a big thing of that was obviously the security of the servers. I mean, you remember in the PS3's life cycle, which made me buy a 360 in the end, was how long it was offline because it got destroyed.
Oh, I remember that. I think it was like two free games, didn't they?
Yeah, it was. I think it was around about a year to 2 years. This, the PlayStation Online was on and off. So in the end, these paid for servers now, they're solid. They go down every now and again like they always do, but because PlayStation's always had that sort of backlash from the PS3, it gets a lot more attention.
Oh yeah.
I've got friends who play on Xbox and theirs goes down just as often as a PlayStation does. But again, that is inexcusable in this day and age when you think, you guys on PC, you don't have these issues.
No,
if there's something wrong on your end, it's your fault. 9 times out of 10, it'll be your internet or like the Steam storefront's down for whatever reason. It's down for like maintenance, and you can still access your games and you can still play your games. And whereas with today's day and age on consoles, where companies want to sort of control the licenses a hell of a lot more. If your console's offline, especially the Xbox side of things, so every now and again it will check in to make sure that you own the license for it, and then you can't access it because you're not online. Xbox tried to say they sorted that out ages ago, but it's still happening to this day. I think the biggest one, I think it was either 2015 or 16 when Killer Instinct came out on the Xbox One. It just would not let people play it if you were offline. And there's still that issue, and that is, when you're paying for this service to be able to play online, and you want your servers like amazing and the security to be tight on them, and you're paying £40 a year, to keep that going. It's inexcusable when you look at the PC side of things, where it's free all the time. If there's an issue, 9 times out of 10, it's your internet. Sort it out. So that's a big killer for me. I mean, there is benefits to it. Obviously, there are always going to be benefits to a paid service. I mean, you look at the free games you get every month on pretty much most systems. We won't talk about the Nintendo Switch because they are manhandling that so badly.
Nintendo's got Nintendo, basically.
Yeah, they are. They are a very backwards company. They've got this access to the most incredible backlog of games that man has ever seen, and they're going, here's 3 NES games that nobody cares about. We got volleyball last month. Volleyball on the NES. Like, fair, we're paying like, what was it, £17 a year to access their online servers. It's cheap, but they've gated off like things like cloud saves behind this paywall, and it's like, what's wrong with you, Nintendo? What are you doing? Like, select leaderboards, so select games that won't upload to the cloud because Nintendo are Nintendo, and they decide that you could cheat leaderboards by fiddling about with your cloud saves. It's like, no, Nintendo. Anyway, I said I wasn't going to get into that, but it is you get free. Like, you get free stuff for paying for these things, and there is a lot of there's a lot of value to this. I mean, as I said, that game Detroit, again, I'm coming back to it because I'm obsessed with it's on the brain. That's worth like $49.99 still. You go into a pre-owned shop and your people are still charging you £32 for it. That's pretty much paid for my subscription itself. And you get these like every month. Obviously, there's always going to be crappy months. But yeah, it is what it is. But I think that, for me, is the biggest disappointment of being a console gamer. It's not the frame rates, it's not the graphics. It is these subscription services. And when these subscription services go wrong, you're just supposed to sit there with your thumb up your ass waiting for them to fix it.
That's the thing. It's like, it brings the whole thing up as well about game ownership.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, technically, I haven't bought physical copies in things on Steam, but should Steam ever go down, and Steam have said if their service ever stops, you will still be able to access your games.
Yeah.
And I can play games offline. It will tell me I'm playing offline, but I can still play games offline. If your service goes down, like I said, you're stuck with an expensive box that won't essentially do anything.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a big issue. Like, I think, for me, the PS4, the marketing guys at PS4 are just geniuses. They saw what Microsoft were trying to do with the Xbox One, before it even came out, and they were like, right, let's get on this. And then I think that's the reason why
that iconic how to share like trade games share games with your friends, like, to this day is I don't think Microsoft still to this day have recovered from that.
No,
they can lower the price of that Xbox Game Pass all they want, but the games in that Game Pass aren't fucking amazing. So they can do all they like, but I think they're going to feel the repercussions of that for a while.
And I think they still are, and I think that's the reason why PlayStation 4 has done so well.
That's why I bailed.
Yeah,
I had a 360, and I watched that E3 press conference. I was like, nah, wash my hands of it. Traded my 360 in that day when I bought a PS3, and I was like, nah, I'm happy with my lot in life now.
That's very true. The then CEO Don Matic saying, "Well, if you don't have a good internet connection, we have a great device for you, and it's the Xbox 360." It's like,
what an absolute melt! What's wrong with you?
I know, and it's a similar sort of thing. It's coming like now, as like, so the internet goes down, and your subscription goes down, you've lost access. That's one thing that also annoys me, is the forced online. Is even when I play a single player game that has no multiplayer component, why do I still have to be online to play that?
That is the thing. Sony have been a lot more like lackadaisical with that sort of thing. I want to say, I think it was around about 2016, towards the end of 2016, they sort of stopped that. So now when your console is offline, you can still play your games.
Oh, cool.
The only ones that you really obviously can't do are online only games, like things like your Fortnites, stuff like that. Fortnite, those things, obviously you can't play them because it's an online thing. But an Xbox, as far as I'm aware, they started doing that as well. But there are some games where if you've been offline for X amount of days, it'll go, we're just checking in. Have you got the license for this? And because you can't get online, no, you can't play this game. I don't know whether or not that's because it's like technically they built it around like the Microsoft Windows sort of thing. They built it around Windows 8, which is another massive turn off for me. Fucking Windows 8. Windows 10. It was Windows 10. That was it. Windows 10.
Windows 10, yeah.
Whatever they built it around. It was the old tiles icon. I can't remember which one that was. I think it was
Windows 8 where they got rid of the start menu, and but then brought it back.
Yeah, they built the Xbox around Windows 8, and I still to this day cannot understand the reasoning for that. And I don't know whether or not the reason that whole sort of like licensing thing was just a leftover bug maybe, or a leftover feature from when they wanted this console to be DRM only at all times, or whether or not that was just a simple case of it was built on like a Windows platform.
Yeah,
it remains to be seen. I don't think we'll ever get a definitive answer for that.
Yeah.
But that is a big thing as well. You know, at least with a PC, if my PC isn't switched online, you know, I can load up this application, off I go. Unless, of course, it's, you know, it needs an update, and it renders it unplayable. You're pretty much sorted.
Yeah, I think it's true. It's like I said, it's the whole always online requirement and things like that. It's like I said, it's the fact it needs to check you bought the game and you're still. Well, if you bought the game, how can you still keep buying the game?
Yeah.
I mean, there are obviously certain features on Steam that don't work, and certain parts of games obviously won't work if you go offline. You can't, things like that. But I think it's people should be able to enjoy the games how they want, and sometimes even if they're in a lot of developed countries, like in the US and obviously in the UK, people's internet goes down, and sometimes their internet can't be that good. And if you move house, you can be internetless for a couple of weeks. So it's like, well, I can't play this device, and essentially you're paying. If you've got like a subscription service, you're paying for something you can't use.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is just a massive kick in the teeth.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah,
I think it's just it is. I think it's something that definitely needs to be looked into, and I'm hoping that when they announce these new consoles and they give us more information about them, that they'll sort of address this issue. A big thing for me, a big thing for me that I want to pick up on as well is things like buying games digitally and things like this. Now, obviously, PC is a lot easier to do this.
Yep.
And it's a lot harder to get physical media for a PC, whereas console is, you've got that mix of both. But it falls in line with the whole licensing thing. There are games on digital storefronts now where if someone has lost the license for it, for example, a good one to pick up is that Scott Pilgrim Saves the World.
Yeah.
Whoever made that game lost a license to basically publish it, and now you can't buy it anywhere because it was a digital only game and it's gone for good. No one can get that game anymore. PT, for example, that playable teaser of Silent Hills that has gone for good now, and I've got that installed on my console. That's made my console worth like
you could sell for about
thousands.
Yeah.
Because you can't get it anywhere anymore, and that's a big thing for me. I don't know how it works if on a PC if a game sort of gets removed from Steam, because that was one thing that I saw. Like, I wanted to get the original Dark Souls on PC. I don't want the remastered version because I'd rather support the guy that sorted the mod out on the original.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't pay outright for a game that is already on the PC with a fix.
Yeah.
But you can't get that on Steam anymore. You can't get that. I think it's on the Windows Store maybe. But where do you find it? Do you know what I mean?
That is true. Like, I still have the original copy and I can get it. So I can download it again because it's registered to my account. And I was tempted to buy a copy just to have it sat there in my inventory just in case I needed it. And I think you're right. It kind of like hits a nail on the head right there. But I think as well about game preservation and archiving, like with a whole advent of digital, and that is a problem with PC markups as well. It's all digital media. Like my PC doesn't have a disk drive.
Yeah,
doesn't need one because I get all my stuff.
You don't need one.
I get all my stuff digitally, and it's kind of the accepted de facto thing. Like even if you buy some PC physical media, sometimes it'll just be contain an installer to either download to install Steam, or in the case of the Epic ones, install the Epic Game Store. And it's the same. I also don't understand what you're getting on PS4 or Xbox. You'll buy the game, then you got to install a 20 gig patch.
Absolutely.
So it's like, what's actually on the disc?
I think the big issue for me, you know, don't get me wrong, like I like having physical media. I show you my cabinet, and I might do that before we finish.
I have some stuff in my cabinet as well from physical
media
as well.
You know, it's a big thing for me about this is, you know, these games that you buy digitally, you know, thankfully, again, which is a benefit for being a console gamer, is you can still get these discs and you can still play them. But a big thing for me about this whole digital thing is you are one password hack away from losing everything.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can get double verification or two-step verification. You get all this sort of stuff. But if someone wants in on your account, they want in on your account. You know, what happens if one day Steam go bankrupt? I know it never happened, but you know, hypothetically, if someone like Steam went bankrupt and they shut their servers for good, where's your library gone? You know, there's a lot of grey areas around it that nobody ever seems to address, but it's always in those T's and C's. You look at the T's and C's and they're like, you know, I can't remember the exact wording of it, but it's like, we reserve the right to revoke your license at any time. Yeah. And it's in every T's and C's of every game that you ever open. Infamously, if you look at Crash Nitro Kart or Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel that just come out, there's like a 60-odd page T's and C's just before you can boot the game up. And like crucially, it says, you know, we can shut these servers down for online at any time with no prior warning. Yeah. You know, we own the license to this game. If we decide we want to shut it down, that's it. It's gone. You know, and who really owns this game?
True.
But again, this is the thing with digital media in itself, and again, is another reason why I feel a bit itchy playing on PC consoles on PC units, because you know, you can't go into a shop anymore and buy physical media at all. I know there are some places that do it, but again, what's to say you buy this PC game and they still want these one-time installation keys? Why? Who needs that? Just pop the disc in, off you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my point. Digital media for me, that's what sort of really turns me off. At least with a console, I can pop the disc in and know that I've still got this and can still play this.
That's a good point, and that's the reason as well. Like obviously, it's a factor on. It is in the back of your mind, like if this stuff goes down, like what have I lost? You can send your money down the drain at that point. But it's similar sort of thing as well, like with Google Stadia.
Oh Christ, yeah!
I think that's DOA. If you're going to pay the subscription fee and then buy the game. So what are you actually buying? You know?
And it's always online, because you're not buying these, you're streaming these games.
So I got to pay a subscription fee, and then got to buy a game which got to cost me, $60, £50.
But
it's not
I've got to have tip-top internet that nobody on this planet has.
It's not like I can then download the game and play it offline, and at least have a copy on my hard drive. It's if Google decided to go, nah, sorry, mate, those £300 of games you bought, nah, sorry, F you.
Yeah, this is it, and I think that is basically what Microsoft originally wanted to do with the Xbox One, obviously, but with the physical discs. And that is a terrifying sort of prospect. If this Google Stadia does do well, then anybody that plays a console is fucked.
Yeah. I think as well, you're right. It's whoever wants that instant or rare high performance will still buy the PC and PC components.
Absolutely.
But it could, if it takes off, it could kill the console market. It could kill a PC market.
If nothing else, it'll kill retail. 100%. Any sort of retail outlet that sells games are done. In that side of things. You'll see them disappear from supermarkets. You'll see places like GameStop, all these sort of places it'll be done.
Yeah,
because I remember, because I worked in game around about the time that the new consoles were coming out, and when Xbox said, you can't trade your games in because they're registered, and if you want to buy a pre-owned game, you have to pay us X amount of money to activate it on your console. Game was shitting themselves.
Oh yeah,
because that's a large portion of their revenue just gone.
It kills the used game market.
Yeah, it really will.
They tried to do that before with things like online passes.
Oh yeah, they get online game passes.
That was the last generation's thing. Was you'd like?
I think I might still have one of those. Give me a second. I'll see if I've still got one.
Yeah, sure.
Where are we? Yeah, here we go. Let me just get my headphones. Right, so this is my copy of Mass Effect 3.
Yeah.
Obviously flipped, but
I got FemShep on there.
I do, because FemShep is canon. I can't stand John Shepard, he's annoying. There you go. There's a relic from the past for you.
There you are.
If that code still works, and I'll be surprised if it does, you can have it, because I ain't going to use it. But yeah, not that it requires it, but yeah, enter the above code to activate your Mass Effect 3 online pass for access to the Alliance network, which is required for online play.
Yeah.
It's not anymore. They revoked that when obviously the whole sort of thing went haywire.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, history will show you that none of this stuff works. It's the same with we're not going to get into this topic today, but it's the same with things like loot boxes and microtransactions.
Yeah.
It'll always get repurposed, and it'll always fall dead on its feet. And this is why the Google Stadia worries me slightly, because Google have a lot of fucking money. If something goes wrong with this Stadia, they can just sweep it under the carpet, which is fine. That in an ideal world, as someone who plays a console, and I should imagine the same with someone who plays on PC, you'd be quite happy for that thing to be swept under the rug and forgotten about, and ooh yeah, bye bye.
Yeah.
But if it does well, then you're going to see a lot of people bail to PC, and eventually you're going to see that sort of model bleed into the PC anyway. You're going to see that Steam can go, well, we can make a lot more money here by just streaming these games, because if we don't want it on our servers anymore, that saves money on server upkeep, and they can just stream it instead. And I think that's a big concern for me. History will always repeat itself, and they'll always keep trying different ways to bring this sort of digital only life or online only life. I mean, I don't know if you saw, but Xbox even released a discless Xbox One S. Like, I watched a couple of videos of people opening them up, and they are literally just exactly the same console without a disc drive in it. There's even an eject button underneath the plating that still makes a noise. It's the same price. I know. Like, I went into my local game store and into CEX, and they're still selling for about $230, $240,
right,
without a disc drive. What's the point? Like, I think that's the most expensive component as well in that device, and it's gone, and you're still charging us full price for it. It's like, I don't understand why the market needs that sort of thing, and I don't understand why you wouldn't lower the price of it.
Cause money, basically. That's why. Money.
Absolutely. But no, that's one thing that really does worry me in the long run, is how often this is going to keep happening until it eventually gets called the norm.
Yeah, so it gets accepted by the public.
Yeah. Why for now, I still get to play my games on my disc. I get to, that little collector side of me who isn't that obsessive with collecting, but I can go, I've got this on my shelf, I can go play this. I can just pick this up, put it in, off I go. PS1, PS2, even right down to Master System, Mega Drive. We've even got some Sega Saturn games down there.
Yeah.
And for the purpose of I own these games, these are mine. And even down to archiving. There are so many games that have been lost to the sands of time now because of digital only rights, or games not being made, not enough of the game being made. And it is that ethical question as well, as do we people see games as art, I guess. Do we preserve this, or do we just go, well, that's up to the publishers, that's up to the developers, that's up to them. I don't know, but that's another reason why I'm sort of happy to sit on my console and be, I've got a disc. I've got this. This is physically mine. I can hold this with my hands.
That's true. Yeah. I do concede that point.
Good man. So you should.
Well, it's like the digital does have the convenience, but you're right. It's all about game ownership.
Who actually owns don't get me wrong. Digitally is a hell of a lot more convenient. I'm not going to lie to you. I have got, I want to say about, at the moment installed on my PS4 Pro, I've got about 12 digital games on there,
right?
Because I could not be bothered to go to the shop that morning. I know it sounds stupid, but it's convenient, and now I don't have to get up to change the disc, and that's it's perfect. And that is what big console companies want. They want you to be in that mindset.
They want you to be lazy.
But again, my argument for this side of things as well is there are a lot of games on the PlayStation Store, on the Xbox Store, on the Nintendo Store that are the same price as they are in a box with a disc. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's not right in my opinion.
Yeah,
at all. But I don't really spend enough time on a PC to sort of know the sort of pricing of games. But I am aware, or it's from what I'm aware, a lot of games on PC generally tend to be a lot cheaper.
Yeah, they can be quite cheap. Especially, I'm not sure how if PlayStation or Sony do. Microsoft, but I don't know if they do regional pricing. Whereas
I don't know.
Well, I know Steam does. So it bases a lot of its prices based on the relative income in that country.
Yeah.
So, in Brazil, PC gaming I think it's more because imports on consoles and things are so expensive.
Mm-hmm.
But you can buy games digitally quite cheap in other countries, so it's like, the game might cost like £60 in the UK, but it might be equivalent like £20 in Brazil, but it's relative to the income of that country.
Yeah, I think Australia are the ones that hit quite heavy by it. Like their games like like Australian dollars, and it's like, really?
Yeah,
$100 for a game? Like the mind boggles.
It does boggle the mind, and that's one thing that is at least good about Steam, or at least you can region, and you can shop all over and get cheaper games. Obviously, we're bringing the whole, again, we don't get told the whole G2A key resellers, but you can shop around and buy a game digitally and they're quite cheaper. But it is quite galling when a new game comes out and it's £60, but it's like, well, I'm not getting anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
Why would I pay?
I'm getting the promise that you're not going to take this game away from me within the next X amount of years.
Pretty much. I'm, and obviously, I don't trust corporations as far as I can throw their headquarters.
No.
So it's I can see that it's nice to have that physical media. And that's one thing that is lacking on the PC space.
And but again, I think it's been a fairly decent sort of debate today. But I think no matter what we agree or disagree on, or whether we see eye to eye on all sort of the topics here, I think there's two things we can both agree on. Competition is good. It breeds better games.
Correct.
It breeds better consoles. It breeds better like PC components, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
It's good for the market, and also that console has to be better because you get Bloodborne on it. So
yeah, but I mean,
you don't get Bloodborne on PC.
No,
or Demon Souls. Demon Souls again is another one. So,
yeah, but
we love Souls games, as you
probably
aware. So
I know.
Did Sekiro ever come to PC?
Yeah, I played
it did.
I completed it on PC.
Oh, you completed it on PC. Fair play.
I have.
To be fair, that was probably the worst game out of the lot of them, in my opinion. But that's because I'm bad at it. So
once you don't,
we don't talk about that.
Once you don't play it like a Souls game,
I've heard it's very much like Tenchu. So
it's good. I enjoy it. All I'll say is that obviously we have native 4K, higher frame rates.
Yes, you do.
Like I mean, if you could Bloodborne 60 FPS. Would be amazing.
You can imagine that all you like, but unfortunately, it's a Sony.
Unfortunately, not because Sony are Sony are assholes. Really?
Yes, they are. They've got to have something. Bless them.
Because they've got to have something.
That is the one benefit of having a Microsoft console, as itchy as that makes me to feel to say that, you can't stand Microsoft consoles, but they've got that connectivity with PC.
Yeah,
which is, it's a good introductory sort of like way to get people to buy PC and for PC gamers to go, I want to play a console game.
Oh yeah.
But it's good. And let's not forget, PC, whilst it is technically a legal grey area, can emulate retro consoles and even modern consoles. I mean, true. Someone managed to get like a PS4 modded on their PC. It's very much a grey area, if not illegal, but it's still something that is definitely doable. So there are, I could, as a console gamer, I do concede that 9 times out of 10 it's probably better to play on a PC, 100%. Yeah. But my argument will always fall down to the comfort side of things and the ability to basically say I own my games. I'm not fussed about, as I said, graphics. A mouse and a keyboard is like a steering wheel and a gear stick to me. I don't understand it. Yeah. But that's not to say that I wouldn't like to learn.
That's true. And I mean, the thing is as well, I think it's interesting as well. So over time, the consoles have become essentially more like PCs.
Yes,
they are basically PC components running a very custom version of Linux or Windows.
Absolutely, I think in fact even the PS4 actually runs on Linux.
Yeah, so back in the day, it used to be that they had their own developed architecture and things like that, and that's why the PS3 is so hard to emulate, as you mentioned. Yeah, it's a core, whatever it's core.
It's a mess.
Yeah, core CPU or whatever it is. So it's like, even on high-end PCs, you can't replicate that. It's exceptionally difficult. But it's like I said, they've stopped doing that and simply bought off the shelf PC architecture, put it together, and then smack a custom version of Linux on there, and boom, you've got yourself a console.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's the consoles are becoming more and more like PCs every generation.
Like I said, I think, and that to me is why the competition is good, because you learn from each other. You learn from each other. PC games nowadays are getting that sort of the console touch to their games now. They're getting a lot more of like accessibility options. They're getting a lot more sort of like compatibility options with like controllers and things like this. And and like I said, as you said, like the consoles now are getting PC components left, right, and center.
Yeah, and the learning as well in that it's they're learning that not only is it graphical fidelity that what people want, people also want higher frame rates.
Yeah,
and obviously the PS4 Pro and
Xbox One X,
where it is, we can run some games at 60 FPS, and it is worlds apart. So they've learned that not only people want the best looking games, you actually want them at a solid 60 FPS frame rate.
Yeah,
and that's, like I said, that is frame rate makes all the difference. If you can play a game at 60 FPS to 30, I don't care if people say, it's more cinematic. It's bollocks. It's absolute bollocks. The only reason people don't like it is because it's not what they used to.
Yeah.
But once you've played something like Dark Souls 3 in 60 FPS, you then try and play it at 30, you feel like you're just.
Yeah, I mean,
treacle, something like that.
Yeah, I watched pretty much most of your Dark Souls 3 playthroughs at 60 frames per second, and I would not touch my Dark Souls 3 for a couple of weeks afterwards, because that Dark Souls 3 is probably my favorite game of all time, which takes a lot for me to say, because there's a lot of games that I regard that quite highly, but seeing it struggle makes me upset. So I when I've watched like these, because I like to watch a lot of these gameplay like let's plays and whatnots, with the frame rate is locked quite high, but when you go back to it and you see that certain games don't run that way, it's sad. But I think I can definitely see the benefits of being a PC user, absolutely. And as I say, I'm sure you can see some of the benefits of being a console gamer as well. But I think ultimately it's good for both of us. I think we're both sort of quite mature enough to agree that they're both incredible like machines for all of us.
Yeah, I think that's something that happens as you get older. You move beyond the whole fanboy-esque thing, and you know, I can see the benefits of both platforms. That's essentially why I have both. Because fortunately enough, I have enough spare capital that I can have both. So I obviously know not everyone's fortunate enough to be in that position that has to choose one. And obviously, and that's the whole reason why the whole fanboy thing's developed. Is if you've bought X product, but turns out Y is actually better, you're going to say Y. You want to make sure, convince yourself that you've made. Well,
9 times out of 10, mummy's bought you this console for Christmas, or mummy's bought you this PC for Christmas, and that's where it all starts.
Yeah,
you know, it's very much a sort of herd mentality. We're very much like herd creatures when it comes to things like that. So you look at Fortnite, for example. I don't know if you saw, but there's a lot of kids getting bullied now because of, you know, like default skins, and it's just like, really? Well, it's a fucking game. Just enjoy it.
That's the new bullying. It's used to be because you didn't have designer shoes, or you came to school with a Netto bag.
Oh my god, that's a thing I haven't heard in years. Netto.
It's a very old. That's what it used to be. So it's kids are always going to be like that. So,
but yes, I think this has been a fairly sort of successful conversation.
That's the whole thing. It's not. I didn't want it to be. I don't come across of I'm right, you're wrong, and this is why, because it's that's not a debate.
I'm happy with this first episode. To be fair, it's done fairly well. I think in the future there's quite a lot for us to sort of talk about. I think one of them should be, you know, the whole microtransactions argument. Maybe we'll get into that in the future.
I think there's as well as that, obviously, because we're quite. That's actually quite old, but we've been gaming for a long time. We can remember what each stage used to be like, and seen how the game things have changed. Like for some people nowadays,
I remember when you could literally, if you wanted something in the game, you got an action replay or a game shark, or you put in a cheat code. Now you have to put in your credit card details.
That's what I mean. We can remember that. For some people, all they've known is loot box and microtransactions. You know, I remember when expansion packs for games came on disc. Like I think I've got one in my drawer or some. I've actually got like Diablo 2 Lord of Destruction.
Oh Jesus!
Which came so it's it was essentially DLC, but it came on a disc. Yeah, you had to install.
But you had to have the base game to play it.
Yeah. So it's you know we've been around for a long time listening games. So
oh yeah,
cool.
But yeah. I want to thank everybody for watching, as I'm sure James does too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
And hopefully we'll see you soon for another whatever we're going to call these.
Yeah, I think the name I came up with was Differential Diagnosis.
That'll do. There you go.
We'll call it that.
Whack that in the title.
Good plan. Right. Catch you later.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.